In the golden sunset of Boston, Joan Miller sighed with satisfaction as she closed her office door. The web design company she had founded 3 years ago, Creative Visions, was finally gaining momentum. Local business requests were increasing, and she had finally been able to hire a second designer. "I'm heading out now, Eric. Email me the report by tomorrow morning," Joan called to her young assistant as she hurriedly packed her bag. The clock showed 5:15 p.m. She needed to pick up Lily from after-school care. The last thing she wanted was to keep her daughter waiting. The road Joan drove along shimmered in the early summer sunlight. At each red light, she was reminded of the divorce proceedings from 2 years ago. Her 8-year marriage to Marcus had gradually grown cold due to his excessive dedication to work and his dismissive attitude toward her career. During the divorce mediation, he had claimed custody by saying, "You don't have the financial means," but Joan's solid future plans and deep love for Lily had swayed the judge. When Joan arrived at the after-school center, Lily was already waiting at the entrance. The 5-year-old girl's golden curls glowed like a halo in the sunset. Lily's big blue eyes lit up when she saw her mother, and she came running. "Mommy! I made a paper crane today. The teacher showed me how." Joan lifted her daughter and kissed her cheek. "That's wonderful. Show me when we get home." Once in the car, Lily happily chattered about her day, her new friends Sophia, the gold star sticker from her teacher, and the peanut butter sandwich she had for lunch. Her daughter's innocent smile and endless talking soothed Joan's fatigue. This small being was the driving force in her life. When they reached their apartment, Joan's mother Patricia was preparing dinner. After losing her husband, Patricia had moved from a neighboring town to support her daughter and granddaughter. Without her presence, it would have been difficult for Joan to balance work and child rearing. "I'm home, Mom," Joan kissed her mother. "Grandma! Look, a crane." Lily proudly showed her origami. Patricia made appropriately appreciative sounds at her granddaughter's creation and announced, "I made chicken pot pie today. Your favorite, Lily." After dinner, Joan gave Lily a bath and read her favorite picture book. Once her daughter was asleep, she returned to the living room and discussed weekend plans with her mother over coffee. "Marcus is picking up Lily on Saturday, right?" Patricia asked. Joan nodded with a tired expression. "Yes, it's his bi-weekly visitation day. He called last week and said his new wife Vanessa will be coming too." "Is she kind?" "To Lily, I mean." "On the surface, yes. But there's something calculating about her. Lily hardly mentions her." Patricia took her daughter's hand. "You're doing well, Joan. Divorce isn't easy, but you're trying to maintain a relationship with Marcus for Lily's sake. That's truly admirable." Joan smiled, but shadows of worry flickered in her eyes. Recently, Marcus had started insisting on increasing his visitation time. Though she understood how important it was for him and Lily to spend time together, she couldn't help feeling uneasy now that her ex-husband had remarried. That night, lying in bed, Joan pictured her daughter's smile. No matter how tired she was, she would do anything for Lily. Busy days would continue, but as a mother and as a woman, she had to remain strong. Saturday morning, when Marcus came to pick up Lily, Joan was packing her daughter's small backpack with necessities, her favorite teddy bear, a change of clothes, a toothbrush, and her asthma inhaler in case of emergency. "Be good, Lily," Joan said, placing her hands on her daughter's shoulders. "I'll see you Sunday evening." Lily nodded quietly. She used to be excited about weekends with her father, but her demeanor had changed in recent months. She no longer showed the same enthusiasm. When the doorbell rang and Joan opened the door, Marcus and Vanessa were standing there. Marcus's dark brown hair was starting to show some gray, but his charming smile remained intact. Vanessa stood beside him, sporting perfect blonde hair and an expensive designer spring coat. "Good morning, Joan." Marcus's voice was warm, but his eyes were cold. "Good morning. I've included Lily's inhaler. She's been coughing a little lately." Marcus nodded indifferently. "Got it." Vanessa extended her hand to Lily. "Good morning, Angel. Let's have a fun weekend." Lily took Vanessa's hand but looked back at Joan. "Bye-bye, Mommy." "Bye-bye, sweetheart. See you Sunday."
Do you know some people earn over $10,000 a month just by posting Reddit stories on YouTube? No face, no voice, just a laptop. I do it too. Link below if you're curious.
As the door closed, Joan felt a heavy anxiety settle in her chest. She stood at the window, watching Marcus's luxury SUV until it disappeared around the corner. Patricia placed a hand on her shoulder. "She'll be fine. Children are resilient." "I know, Mom. It's just..." Joan trailed off. She couldn't tell if her uneasiness came from simple ex-wife jealousy or maternal intuition. The weekend was filled with work. Finalizing design proposals for a new client and preparing for next week's presentation. If she secured this contract, her company's stable future would be assured. She wanted to give Lily a better life. Sunday evening, Marcus delivered Lily as promised. Lily seemed tired but appeared to have enjoyed her weekend with her father. She mentioned, "We went to the aquarium," but didn't share more details. Usually, she would talk endlessly, but tonight she was unusually quiet. Did anything unusual happen? Joan casually asked Marcus after Lily had gone to bed. "Nothing at all. Just a normal weekend," he shrugged. "I should go. Vanessa's waiting." The following Tuesday, when Joan returned from work, she asked Lily about her day at school. Normally, she would eagerly tell her about playing with friends or art projects, but today she just answered briefly, "It was fun." "Did the teacher say something? Did you have a fight with a friend?" Lily shook her head. "No, nothing." During dinner, Lily was quieter than usual. Joan exchanged glances with Patricia. Her mother seemed to have noticed the same thing. "Let's have some of Grandma's apple pie, Lily," Patricia said cheerfully. Lily gave a small smile, but her eyes seemed preoccupied. She only poked at the pie a bit before saying, "I'm full," and leaving the table. Thursday afternoon, Joan's cell phone rang during a client meeting. It was Jennifer Clayton, Lily's teacher. Interrupting the meeting to answer, Joan heard Jennifer's concerned voice. "Ms. Miller, I'm a bit worried about Lily. Recently, she's become quiet in class. During creative time, she's been drawing pictures with uncharacteristically dark colors." Joan's heart raced. Has something happened? Is someone bullying her? No, nothing like that. But her behavior has definitely changed. Do you have any idea what might be causing this? Joan took a deep breath. Actually, she seems to have changed a bit after visits with her ex-husband. But I'm not sure. After hanging up, Joan contacted her mother and explained the situation at school. Patricia promised to pick Lily up early and prepare a special treat to cheer her up. That night, Joan sat on Lily's bed, gently stroking her hair. "Is there anything you want to talk about? How was the weekend at Daddy's house?" "Really?" Lily curled up under her blanket. "I have a room at Daddy's house. It's pink, with a new bed." She trailed off. "That's nice," Joan said gently. "Mommy Vanessa says that someday I'll get to live there all the time," Lily said in a small voice. Joan's body froze. "She said that?" "No, forget it." Lily suddenly went silent and turned to face the wall. Joan didn't press Lily further. She didn't want to upset her child, and more than anything, she didn't want to know what Marcus and Vanessa might be planning. Lily's words could be just a child's imagination or a misunderstanding of something Vanessa had said casually. But deep inside, alarm bells were ringing. The next day, Joan called her lawyer to discuss the possibility that Marcus might be seeking a custody change. The lawyer advised her not to worry too much unless there was concrete action. Still, Joan's anxiety persisted. Over the weekend, she decided to take Lily to an amusement park. Early Saturday morning, they got up and drove an hour to Wildwood Adventure Park. Lily's eyes sparkled for the first time in a while as she exclaimed, "I want to ride the teacups." Running around the park, eating ice cream, and winning a large stuffed giraffe at a shooting gallery, Lily showed a genuine smile. Seeing that smile, Joan began to think that her worries might have been unfounded. That night, as Joan tucked Lily in, she asked, "Did you have fun today?" Lily nodded, hugging her new stuffed giraffe. "Yes, it was really fun. I love you, Mommy." "I love you too, Lily. Always." After Lily fell asleep, Joan returned to the living room and gazed at the night sky through the window. Perhaps Lily's behavior change was temporary. Maybe it was the confusion that children of divorced parents occasionally feel. Nevertheless, she resolved to cherish more time with Lily amidst her busy work schedule. On Wednesday afternoon, Joan's cell phone rang. It was Lily's elementary school. "Ms. Miller, today is Open Art Day, so classes end early, but the after-school care supervisor has fallen ill suddenly." Joan glanced at the clock. 3:15 p.m. An important client conference call was scheduled for 4 p.m. "I'll come pick her up right away," she answered without hesitation. Before leaving the office, Joan arranged to delay the conference call by 30 minutes. She gave Eric quick instructions and hurried to the school. Arriving at the schoolyard bathed in spring sunshine, she saw children being picked up one by their parents. Lily was sitting on the school steps, holding something colorful made of paper. As Joan approached, Lily looked up with a slightly surprised expression. "Mommy? Aren't I supposed to go to after-school care?" "It's a special day, so Mommy came to pick you up," Joan smiled. "What did you make?" Lily proudly showed her paper creation. "A family picture. This is Mommy, this is Grandma, and this is me." Joan felt a warmth in her chest looking at her daughter's artwork. Marcus was not in the picture. "It's beautiful. Let's hang it up at home." Leaving the school, they began walking hand in hand. For this day, she decided not to use the car but to walk in the pleasant spring weather. It was about a 15-minute walk to their apartment. "What did you learn today?" Joan asked, and Lily began to talk animatedly for the first time in a while. About art class, how her friend Sophia fell and scraped her knee, and how the mashed potatoes at lunch were especially delicious. Listening to her daughter's voice, Joan felt her heart lighten. In the past few days, Lily seemed to be regaining her brightness. As they turned the corner, their apartment building came into view. However, Joan stopped in her tracks at the sight of police cars and uniformed officers in front of the entrance. For a moment, she thought something bad had happened, or that something had happened to Patricia. One of the officers looked in their direction and approached. He was tall with a stern expression. "Are you Joan Miller?" the officer asked coldly. "Yes, I am. Is there a problem?" "We received a report that you kidnapped this child." Joan couldn't believe her ears. "What? Is this child Lily Miller?" "Yes, but she's my daughter. This must be some mistake." Joan's voice trembled. The officer, expressionless, turned to Lily. "Young lady, is this woman your mother?" Lily's hand slipped from Joan's. She stood frozen, her gaze shifting between the officer and her mother. And surprisingly, She said nothing, just looked down. Lily. Joan stared at her daughter in disbelief. Honey, it's Mommy. What's wrong? As Lily remained silent, the officer demanded, I need to see your identification, in a harsher tone. Joan pulled out her driver's license with shaking hands. A female officer approached and placed her hand on Lily's shoulder. This isn't sufficient, the male officer said after checking the license. Do you have court custody documents? They're at home. In this building. If you come with me. Until we can verify, we'll have to detain you for the child's protection. The officer suddenly grabbed Joan's arm and took out handcuffs. What are you doing? Stop. This is my daughter. Joan resisted, but the officer was strong. The cold metal spread around both her wrists, with a clicking sound. Mommy. Lily called in a small voice. There were tears in her eyes. The female officer gently drew Lily close. It's all right, we'll take you somewhere safe. Where are you taking her? She's my daughter. Joan cried in panic. Please, this is a mistake. Lily, it's Mommy. Lily. But the female officer was already guiding Lily toward the police car. When Lily looked back, her expression was a mix of fear and confusion. Joan couldn't understand what was happening to her daughter, why she wasn't speaking the truth. Court records show that legal custody of Lily Miller belongs to Marcus Miller, the male officer said coldly. You don't even have visitation rights. That's a lie. I have custody. By court order. We'll hear your story at the police station. The officer pushed Joan toward another police car. People had started gathering around the apartment. Hot tears streamed down Joan's cheeks. No one tried to help her. Did they all think she was truly a criminal who had kidnapped a child? Before being pushed into the back of the police car, Joan desperately called out, Lily. Mommy will come back, I promise. But Lily was now out of sight in another police car. As the police car pulled away with sirens blaring, fear and confusion swirled within Joan. Was this a nightmare? Why did the police believe Marcus had custody? And most importantly, why didn't Lily speak the truth? Upon arrival at the police station, Joan was taken to an interrogation room. The handcuffs were removed, but she was still treated as a suspect. In a small room surrounded by gray walls, Joan covered her face with trembling hands. She needed to contact her mother Patricia. She would know what to do. Please, let me make one phone call, Joan pleaded with the detective who entered. The male detective placed a file on the desk and sat down. First, let me explain your situation. According to official documents issued by the court, custody of Lily Miller is recorded as belonging to Mr. Marcus Miller. You are suspected of taking the child without permission. That's a forgery. Joan slammed the desk. I have custody. By court order. From 2 years ago. The detective looked at her calmly. Then why couldn't your daughter confirm that you are her mother? At that question, Joan was at a loss for words. Why had Lily remained silent? What made her do that? Images of Marcus and Vanessa flashed in her mind. They must have done something. To get her daughter back, she needed to stay calm and fight. Please let me make one phone call, Joan pleaded again. I'll contact my mother to bring the custody papers from home. Then I'll call my lawyer. The detective thought for a moment, then nodded. Just one call. As Joan dialed her mother's number, her heart was pounding. Where was Lily now? Was she scared? And who was behind this nightmare? Patricia arrived at the police station and immediately confronted the officer at the reception desk. Where are my daughter and granddaughter? What nonsense is this? In one hand, she held a large folder full of documents, and in the other, the business card of Michael Cohen, Joan's divorce lawyer. Patricia had contacted him as well. When she reunited with Joan in the interrogation room, Patricia hugged her daughter tightly. "It's going to be okay. We'll sort this out." While the detective was reviewing the folder's contents, Joan asked about Lily. "Where's my daughter? Who is she with?" "She's with a child welfare representative," the detective answered without looking up. "She's in a safe place, so don't worry." "Don't worry." Joan's voice shook. "My 5-year-old daughter is with strangers." The detective finally looked up from the documents. "This is indeed an official custody certificate. Dated 2 years ago." Suddenly, the door opened, and another officer poked his head in. "Johnson, they've arrived." When Joan turned around, Marcus and Vanessa were standing in the hallway. Marcus was wearing an expensive suit, as if he had shown up for an important business meeting. Vanessa was in a simple but clearly expensive dress with perfect makeup. Behind them stood a middle-aged man in a gray suit, likely their lawyer. Marcus glanced at Joan, then immediately turned to the detective. "Where is our daughter?" "Marcus, what is this about?" Joan stood up to confront him. Marcus ignored her, and the man in the gray suit stepped forward with a stack of documents. "Here are our client's custody papers. Issued 6 months ago." "That's a lie." Patricia cried out. "We never received any notice from the court." Detective Johnson looked confused as he compared both sets of documents. "This is contradictory." At that moment, a loud voice came from the police station entrance. "I am Joan Miller's lawyer. Let me see her immediately." Michael Cohen entered the interrogation room. He nodded briefly to Joan, then turned to the detective. "This situation is completely illegal. My client has legitimate custody and is being detained without a warrant." "We also have a court order," Marcus's lawyer argued. Michael took the other party's documents and quickly reviewed them. "These may be forged. Look at the date. On the day this custody change hearing supposedly took place, I was with Joan Miller in a Boston courthouse. For a different case." A moment of silence dominated the room. "Can you prove that?" Detective Johnson asked. "Of course. Court records and my office records can be obtained." Amidst the confusion, another officer entered the room. "Excuse me, Lily Miller wants to speak." All eyes turned to the entrance. There stood little Lily with a young female social worker. She looked straight at Joan. "Mommy." Lily tried to run to her, but the social worker grabbed her shoulders to stop her. "Lily, wait a little longer. This is ridiculous." Michael raised his voice. "Not letting her see her mother." "There are procedures," Detective Johnson replied. "Lily, a child psychologist named Nancy White would like to speak with you. Would you talk with her in another room?" Lily looked anxiously at Joan. Joan, holding back tears, smiled encouragingly. "It's okay, Lily. Go ahead and talk. Mommy will be right here." After Lily left with the child psychologist, Detective Johnson began investigating Michael's claim. He called the court, checked records on the computer. Michael also called his office to gather evidence. Marcus and Vanessa were beginning to lose their composure. They whispered to each other, occasionally exchanging worried glances. Joan watched them, beginning to understand the truth behind this nightmare. An hour passed. The phone on Detective Johnson's desk rang. After a brief conversation, he stood up with a serious expression. "New information has come in," he announced to everyone in the room. "There are suspicious points in the custody documents submitted by Mr. Marcus Miller. Also, upon investigating the clerk who handled this case, James Foster, we found that he is a close friend of Mr. Marcus Miller. The color drained from Marcus's face. Furthermore, the detective continued, the officer who initially detained Joan Miller, Thomas Ryan, has also been found to be Mr. Marcus Miller's cousin. The room fell silent again. Joan was trembling with shock and anger. Her intuition had been correct. This was all planned. At that moment, Lily and the child psychologist returned from the other room. Psychologist Nancy wore a stern expression. I spoke with Lily. According to her, Mr. Marcus Miller and Mrs. Vanessa Miller taught her a game, Nancy reported. To quote Lily, Daddy and Mommy Vanessa said we should play a game. They taught me that Mommy Vanessa is my real mommy, and Joan Mommy is a bad person, so if I stayed quiet, I could go back to my real home. Joan felt her chest tighten. Her daughter had been brainwashed and manipulated. That's not all, Nancy continued. Lily was threatened that if she didn't follow the game, she would never see her daddy again. This is abuse. Patricia's voice shook with anger. Detective Johnson looked at Marcus and Vanessa. Marcus Miller, Vanessa Miller, I am arresting you on suspicion of child abuse, attempted kidnapping, document forgery, and false reporting. Marcus's lawyer tried to protest, but Marcus himself remained silent, just staring at the floor. Vanessa suddenly began crying, repeating, I was just doing what he told me. While officers escorted Marcus and Vanessa out, Joan was finally allowed to rush to Lily. She hugged her daughter tightly. I'm sorry, Mommy, Lily said in a small voice. Daddy said. You did nothing wrong, Joan said, stroking her daughter's hair. Nothing wrong. It's okay now. Before leaving the police station, Detective Johnson apologized to Joan. Regarding Officer Thomas Ryan's actions, we will conduct an internal investigation. He will be suspended. Ms. Miller, I'm truly sorry. Outside, the twilight sky stretched above them. Patricia helped them into the car, gently saying, let's go home. Lily, exhausted, fell asleep in Joan's arms. Joan gazed at her sleeping daughter's face, thinking of the long road to recovery ahead. It would take time to overcome the trauma and rebuild trust. But tonight, she just wanted to be thankful that her daughter was safely back. 1 year later in spring, Joan stood holding Lily's hand in front of their new home. A 2-story house in a quiet suburban neighborhood, surrounded by a white picket fence. Blooming tulips swayed in the wind in the garden. This is our new home, Lily, Joan hugged her daughter's shoulders. Lily smiled and took Patricia's hand. Where's Grandma's room? It's the room on the 2nd floor with a window overlooking the garden, Patricia answered. Since that day, their lives had changed dramatically. Marcus and Vanessa were found guilty in court, with Marcus receiving a 5-year prison sentence and Vanessa 3 years. The police officer and clerk who had conspired with them lost their jobs and faced criminal penalties. The biggest change was in Lily herself. For the first few weeks, she was troubled by nightmares and would occasionally burst into tears. Child psychologist Nancy continued sessions with Lily twice a week. Was I lied to by Daddy and Mommy Vanessa? Lily had asked after one session. Joan looked directly into her daughter's eyes and gently explained, even adults make mistakes. But those mistakes are not your fault. The process of healing Lily's emotional wounds continued, but with time, she gradually recovered. She began laughing with friends at school again, and her nightmares became less frequent. Joan's company also continued to grow and moved to a new office. She adjusted her work schedule and incorporated remote work to value her time with Lily. Patricia continued to support them both, and the bond between the three grew even stronger. Mommy, Lily suddenly asked while unpacking in the living room of their new home, what is family? Joan stopped what she was doing and sat next to Lily. Family is people who love each other, protect each other, and trust each other. Blood ties alone don't make a family. Lily thought for a while. Then, you, me, and Grandma are a real family. At those words, Joan couldn't hold back her tears. Yes, we are a real family. As she hugged her daughter, she looked out the window. Life in their new home was about to begin. It would take time for the wounds of the past to heal completely. But with the power of a true family filled with love and trust, she believed they could overcome any difficulty. That night, after Lily had fallen asleep, Joan and Patricia sat on the porch, looking up at the starry sky. "You've done well, Joan," Patricia squeezed her daughter's hand. "You're a wonderful mother." Joan smiled. "I learned from you, Mom." The two women gazed quietly at the night sky. Tomorrow would begin another new day. They would overcome all joys and sorrows together as a family. And the bond between these three would never waver.